Hi, there's like a little strand of hair like sticking up this entire video, and it's bugging me, but I can't refilm it because it's too late, so I'm really sorry.
Oh man, I just knocked over my camera. I'm picking it up. Sorry about that.
Hi my lovelies, and welcome back to my channel. As we can see, there's been a quality change, revamp if you will. This is my first video with my new camera. If the audio sounds weird, I'm not sure what it's gonna sound like because I haven't actually gotten a mic yet. I'll definitely be getting a mic within January, so if there is any weird audio stuff you notice in this video, I'm so sorry. But today's video, oh my, I'm so excited. I can just like read my notes off my phone and like not have to, I would have to like get my computer, and it was, you know, like my computer, I have a MacBook Pro. It's not that bad, but like it gets heavy as you progressively. I would sit there and film for at least an hour on a short day. It's a whole process. So when you're a kid, there's a lot of stuff that you scare easily, basically is my point. There's a lot of stuff that isn't scary but actually scares kids, and that's what this video here is going to be today. We're going to be going over some things that scared me as a kid but aren't really classified as scary in a way. Some of these might be an exception to that, that's a lie, but that's what the concept of this video is. Now this has been a trend on YouTube for some time. I'm not really sure how long or who started it, but I was inspired by a video by Boys Ultra Hub. So yeah, I've just compiled some things that scared me as a kid, and we're just gonna be going over them today.
A crotchety old vacuum cleaner.
You're telling me.
And a brave little toaster.
Time to go.
In a heartwarming story for the entire family. Plug into the adventure of the brave little toaster.
So basically there's this movie I saw. I have no idea what age I was when I saw this. I believe I like got it from Blockbuster, or that's just where I'm guessing because it's not like this was in theaters or anything. The movie in question is The Brave Little Toaster, which I believe has some sequels because this movie actually came out in 1987, but I saw the original one. And if you ask me the plot of this movie, honestly I could not tell you. However, there's been this specific scene in my mind that was like engraved for years. Like when I think of this movie, I just think of this scene. Like I don't remember literally what else happened. Basically, it's a dream that the brave little toaster has in the movie when they're like sleeping in some tent in the forest. I lied, it's not a tent, it's actually another character like that's a blanket. The dream starts out with a character who I believe is Master. It's like their previous owner that I think discarded them, and I think that's the plot of this movie. But he's making toast and then the room like bursts, or it doesn't burst into flames yet, it eventually does, but it's like it just starts smoking and he gets like pulled out by the smoke, like it turns into like a giant hand. Shortly after he gets taken away, the room does burst into flames and out sprouts this like,
It's a clown.
but it's dressed like a firefighter and it's smiling this like really unsettling smile, and it keeps just getting closer and closer to the camera, or to the screen, you get what I'm saying. And then it tells the brave little toaster to run. And it proceeds to create a like wave of water almost that starts like chasing the brave little toaster. You know, the brave little toaster can't get wet.
It's a toaster.
But then it like turns into a bunch of forks that like are trying to hit the brave little toaster. That's not even the most memorable part of like why this scene scared me. Like yes, the clown too, but like it was this part that really got me. We cut next and it's the brave little toaster and he's like hanging on, you know, like shower curtain rod, that's what it's called. He's hanging on the shower curtain rod for dear life, while below him is just this bathtub full to the brim of water. And the entire time this is going on, he has this completely like petrified look on his face. So he ends up losing his grip and he falls into the bathtub, and then that's when he wakes up from the dream. Not to mention, I was like watching this movie on YouTube to find this scene, and right after, like the blanket that is like acting as the tent literally gets sucked into the sky by the wind. The only other thing I remember of this movie is I thought they got put into like a store where like people could buy appliances, but apparently that doesn't happen. But I know it's this specific film and not one of the sequels because it was this scene in particular with like the toaster in the bathtub.
Bananas in pajamas are coming down the stairs. Bananas in pajamas are
Pajamas was a children's television series that aired from 1995 to 1997. And it was inspired by like a 1969 like nursery rhyme. But this show, what makes it so, I think, uncanny to me, and probably what freaked me out, was that it was a live action, like complete live action. Like something like the Teletubbies, but like the costumes are way more unsettling just because it's like older than those, and like obviously designs improve over time. It reminds me of like how terrifying those like Backyardigans live action costumes are. Those are like kind of creepy because it's like a lost media. Or like Into the Night Garden, just something like with the live action costumes. It's, you know, it's not live action because like obviously you can't see the people, but like you know it's a person playing it, which kind of makes it unsettling on its own. Now the two main characters were named B1 and B2, and the show also had some other characters which included a rat in a hat and 3 teddy bears that were named Lulu, Morgan, and Amy. All I know is that my dad used to play this on VHS. I think we got it from the thrift store. Like I remember this so specifically what it looked like. And it was specifically on in the mornings, like when I had just woken up before, you know, going to school, when I'd be eating my breakfast. Did I ever want to be watching it?
No.
I never asked for this to be on. I actually dreaded like knowing that it was going to be on and walking into the living room and seeing those damn bananas. Those bananas being in my peripheral vision was enough for me. Also, this, as I said before, it's based off a song. I didn't actually know the song. This show is actually Australian, which I didn't know. Probably why I've literally heard no one in my life ever mention this show. So I've never had the reason, or I've never had like a purpose to talk about it. But the song was actually British, so that's probably why I've just never heard it. It is the theme song for it, and I feel like it's like unsettling on its own. I don't like it. I don't like anything about this. But it probably mostly had to do with the bananas having literally no facial expression. It's kind of just like... Not to let my inner 2017 conspiracy theorist out of the closet, but this next one really had me tripped up. Like, after I researched it, you'll see. As a kid, we all remember watching the Christmas classic stop motions, like Santa Claus is Coming to Town, or Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, even Frosty the Snowman, which I know isn't stop motion, but it's under the same company, and that's the point of me bringing this up. The companies in question being Rankin Bass and Classic Media. But let's focus on my fear for a second before we get why that's relevant. I used to absolutely be terrified of the Classic Media logo. It was really unsettling to me, you know. These were vintage because like I was watching them on VHS too, so it kind of added to like the creepiness, I guess. Obviously they've been like remastered now, so it's probably not as uncanny. However, what really sold it for me and had me creeped out was the music that would come with the logo. It really freaked me out. So naturally for this video, I researched the logo, I click on it,
And there's no audio.
So you can imagine I ran to those comments. And I actually wasn't the only one. We'd watch Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and this logo came on and I would cry and hide. So I was immediately puzzled because looking at this logo on the surface without the music, it just being silent, I mean, maybe if you're watching this alone at night, but I just don't see why I would be scared. Plus, I remember this detail, like when I was preparing for this video, that was the first thing I thought of was,
oh, the one logo with that scary music.
So, naturally, I went down a rabbit hole of searching and searching and searching to no avail. I have never found it with the music in the back. It's even on the Scary Logos wiki, but there's like, it states first logo to be determined along with like the sounds and music for first logo. So this leaves us with a couple scenarios. Number one, I'm just delusional and I simply mixed up the Classic Media audio sounds with the Rankin Bass logo that came, I don't know if it comes before or after, but they would play after the movies. For reference, here's what that sounds like. Number two, there's another Classic Media logo that's simply just been lost to time. I wrote in my notes that I also remember there being a teardrop moving and like it being closer to the screen and possibly more of a like lighter teal cyan color. However, I was really young when I watched these, so I don't have any proof. Number three, there's just never been any music on this logo and it's a Mandela effect. Seeing that there's other people online who also were scared of this, I want anyone who was scared of this to let me know in the comments which one of those you think is the most plausible. I swear on my, I will die on this hill. I remember specifically for this logo, there being sound. I never remember the Rankin Bass one. I don't remember seeing that one when watching these. I mean, obviously it was there. And speaking of logos and Mandela effects, another one I was scared of was the Tinkerbell Blu-ray like opening sequence. I actually have no idea why I hated this one so much. I do remember her looking more like 3D animated in the version that I saw. I mean, that's the only plausible thing I can think of like why I wouldn't like this. It's ironic because I was like a big Tinkerbell fan when I was little, and like I've never had a fear of her or anything in that movie. Like, do you guys remember the one that China and McClain did a song for?
I'm on your side. Let's take this ride.
My gosh, that one's my favorite.
And I was obsessed with like that Pixie Hollow game. Oh my god, I need to make a video on that. I'm actually pretty sure there's a rewritten for that now, but like I was so sad when that game shut down. It like changed the trajectory of my life. There are two types of kids when it comes to Adult Swim being in their childhood. Either they were absolutely terrified of Adult Swim, or they were an avid Adult Swim watcher even though they were a child. I was neither. I was never an avid one, obviously, because I was a child, but like I would watch Robot Chicken. This wasn't on Adult Swim, but like I used to watch The Simpsons and like grew up with The Simpsons. You can kind of tell where I lie with that. However, I used to be scared of the King of the Hill intro. If I was up late one night, the moment that intro came on,
I've never shut off the TV so fast in my life.
I swear too, it always used to be King of the Hill that would come on when like it would switch to Adult Swim. That would always be the first thing that would come on. That's why specifically that intro I was scared of, because it was always King of the Hill that would come on. Now, I've never actually seen an episode of King of the Hill. I think it was more of the fact like, oh my god, I'm not supposed to be watching this. Despite the fact that like I could have gotten away with it if I wanted to watch it. But yeah, I find that funny. Like, I don't know any of the characters in that show. I've never seen an episode, but I know the intro. Like, the music is playing in my head as I'm like talking about it right now.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Now, as a kid, I was a huge Icarly girly, even trying to submit my own video at one point, which luckily I couldn't get to like submit through the website. It was me. Sitting on my tetherball, spinning in a circle. Anyway, back to my point. There was just this episode, it's called iToe Fat Cakes, and I briefly talked about this on YouTube Shorts, but I was creeped out about this even as a kid. This was just a very odd episode to me. Basically, Sam, Gibby, Freddie, and Spencer are all in Canada while Carly is at home. She's actually preparing for a date, and she decides to take a bath. And you wanna know what happens?
Her toe gets stuck in the faucet.
A cute boy's gonna be here any minute, and I'm all wrinkled like an elderly raisin! Oh, this day could not get worse. Ah, it's you!
Before you tell me, yes, I know this is not like an original iCarly like bit. This was actually a skit popularized by Eric Stykes, and it's been referenced in like other shows and stuff. However, me at 8 years old did not know this and just thought it was very odd for this to be a situation going on in the show. A situation happening, putting your toe in a faucet. All it's done is leave me with impulsive thoughts for a lifetime that have haunted me of putting my own toe in the faucet. But knowing what we know about Dan Schneider now and what I didn't know when I watched this episode, it makes it even more like unsettling to think about, because there was a reason he picked this to reference, and it was not the reason you want it to be. So did y'all ever have like movies as a kid where you don't know exactly why you were scared, but all you remember is you were? It's kind of like, I don't like this, it scares me, I'm never touching it again, and I'll die on this hill. Well, I had a handful, specifically Disney movies, and I'm just gonna talk about it and make it one category. The first one is Lion King, which I haven't rewatched to this very day. I can already hear it.
Don't yell at me.
I think this one had to do with the scenes with Scar. That's the only plausible thing I can think of, and I believe those are at the very beginning to like foreshadow the plot. It just left a bad taste in my mouth, and I never ended up watching it again. I don't know. I don't even remember what the scenes were with Scar. I don't know what the plot is of this movie. I genuinely forgot. Weirdly enough, I do remember listening to like the songs from these movies. I think it's mainly because, you know, when Disney used to make those CDs in the 2000s where it was like Disney's greatest hits and it had like a bunch of like compiled songs from like different movies. I had one of those, and I have a feeling that it was probably on it.
10,000 years will give you such a crick in the neck. Say the magic word. Sweetie, I wish for you to make me a prince.
The Next one is Aladdin. I won't lie, I have no idea why I was scared of it. It's one of those things where like I've just avoided it for so long that I don't even remember why I avoided it in the first place.
Be our guest. Be our guest. Put our service to the test. Tie your napkin around your neck, Sherry, and we provide the rest.
The final one is Beauty and the Beast. It's actually the only one I think I have rewatched, and again, I think it had to do with the Beast. I'm just gonna jump to conclusions. But yeah, I feel like this is a very common thing where people have movies that they just like don't remember why they were afraid, I guess, necessarily, but like they've just avoided it for so long that it just goes untouched.
Mama had a chicken. Mama had a cow. Dad was proud. He didn't care how. Cow. Chicken. Cow and chicken.
Now, I feel like I never see Gen Z specifically talking about this show, but I grew up watching Cow and Chicken. It's this Cartoon Network show about a brother and a sister that also happened to be a cow and a chicken. Dad was proud, he didn't care how. Anyway, a recurring character on this show is called Red Guy, or like he's known as the devil basically. Which I'm scared of, because I apparently never said it in this clip. He happens to also be like the main antagonist, but his whole thing is that he's basically abandoned his like, what's it called? Evil persona? I mean, he's still a villain in this show, but he will dress up as anyone from like a lunch lady to a policeman, even a game show host at one point. Why I mention a game show host specifically is because I have a core memory of watching this show and him being a game show host. I don't know what episode it was, I couldn't find it. Like, just looking at season 2, there were actually 2 episodes where he was a game show host on different instances, so clearly it's like in his character to do that. But yeah, fun fact in the finale, Cow and Chicken get stuffed
Up his ass.
It says in a comedic way in parentheses, and then are seen burning alive with a bunch of other souls.
How is this for children?
Now, I won't go too deeply into this one just because I already have a video discussing episodes from this show, which I'll link on the screen. But I watched a couple videos like with this trend on YouTube, and I saw something in common within each one. That is, a Goosebumps episode, or Goosebumps as a whole, was mentioned at least once. But Goosebumps?
Nah, that was nothing.
Because I was blessed to grow up with the one and only L.R. Stein anthology series, The Haunting Hour. Now, I wasn't one who scares easy, I guess. I mean, probably, but like not when it comes to horror stuff. Like Goosebumps didn't really freak me out that much is my point. But this show, oh my god, this is a whole other level, okay? Like watching Lily D at 6 years old had me
Fucked up.
like, there is a reason for me never having an American Girl doll phase. Besides them being expensive as hell. And I will let you connect those dots on your own. Now, I've had a niche for like, informational videos, I guess, before I knew what like video essays were. But back in the day on YouTube, there was a huge rise in top 10 videos. Or like, it wasn't specifically top 10, that was like the most common number, I guess, but the numbers ranged. But the topics on these varied from things like your favorite discontinued snacks to top 10 roller coaster deaths. You could spiral down a rabbit hole of these bad puppies for hours and you would still be entertained. I believe there needs to be a study on the psychological effects this had on me as a kid, because as recently as 2019, these have had me fucked up, okay? I was supposed to go on a cruise, which I ended up going on the cruise and it was great, but I did not want to go. Like, when my mom initially asked me, I did not want to go because I remember the top 10 cruise ship deaths. I even have a video of me crying as the cruise ship took off. I was that scared. But yeah, those are some of my childhood fears, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Comment down below what yours are, or if you had any of the same ones as me. And I will see you guys in 2023.